Welcome, everyone, to this rigorous revision explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you through a real heavyweight topic and the AQA business syllabus. We're talking topic 3.1.3, the marketing mix, with a laser focus on one thing: price. You know, pricing is arguably the most dynamic lever a business can pull, and mastering how it works is just essential for your exams. So get your notebooks ready. We're going to build your knowledge step by step, taking you from the basic definitions all the way up to top-tier strategic evaluation. Okay, let's dive right into this.
Here's our roadmap for today's masterclass. We'll be hitting influences on price, pricing methods, business performance, the Apple Vision Pro for AO3, competitive markets for AO2, and finally, strategy evaluation for AO4.
Section 1. Influences on pricing decisions. Setting a price? Well, it's never just a random guess. It is a highly calculated decision driven by a whole bunch of internal and external pressures. We're riding what I like to call the assessment objective escalator today, and locking down these foundational AO1 factors is step 1. Internally, a business really has to align its price with its marketing objectives, its target market, and, of course, its costs. Externally, they're constantly monitoring demand and competitors. But here is the ultimate make-or-break factor on this list: price elasticity of demand, or PED. Knowing exactly how sensitive your customers are to price changes dictates pretty much everything else.
Section 2, Categories of Pricing Methods. Understanding which pricing category a business actually uses tells you so much about their market position and what they prioritize. We're looking at 3 primary methods here: cost-based pricing, demand-based pricing, and competition-based pricing. Cost-based looks strictly inward, at the company's own expenses. Demand-based looks directly at the customer's perceived value. And competition-based, well, that looks sideways at the rivals. Let's break each of these down. First up, we've got cost-based pricing. Honestly, this is the most straightforward, purely mathematical approach. You simply calculate your total costs to produce an item, and then you just slap a set markup percentage right on top to ensure you make a profit. It basically guarantees a margin on every single unit sold. What's kind of surprising is just how common this is in major B2B sectors. Take government defense contracting, for example. They rely heavily on cost-plus pricing to ensure these massive, sprawling projects don't bankrupt the suppliers. But for everyday consumer goods, the fatal flaw here is that it completely ignores what the customer might actually be willing to pay. Next is demand-based pricing, which is essentially a battle for different types of consumers. Penetration pricing sets a super low initial price to rapidly attract customers and just snatch up market share. Price skimming is the exact opposite, setting a high initial price to maximize profits from those eager early adopters. Then we have dynamic pricing, which adjusts in real time based on fluctuating demand. Think about it. If you've ever tried to book an Uber in the middle of a sudden rainstorm and watched the price jump to $50 for a quick 5-minute ride, you have definitely experienced the aggressive power of dynamic surge pricing. Finally, we land on competition-based pricing. What's truly fascinating here is how entirely reactive these methods are to the market environment. Premium pricing sets the price noticeably higher than rivals, and it does this specifically to signal superior quality or exclusivity. Going rate pricing simply aligns with the prevailing market price. You just charge what everyone else is charging, no fuss. And discount pricing deliberately undercuts competitors to lure in highly price-sensitive customers.
Section 3. Impact on business performance.
So, we have our strategies lined up, but how do these choices actually impact the bottom line? Here is the fundamental formula you need to memorize. Revenue equals selling price per unit multiplied by the number of units sold. This equation perfectly captures the central tension in all of pricing. If you set a high price, your revenue per unit looks fantastic, but your number of units sold might absolutely plummet. But if you drop the price, sales volume might spike, sure, but you're making way less on every single transaction. Finding that perfect sweet spot is the ultimate goal. And that brings us to the most important formula for predicting where that sweet spot actually is: price elasticity of demand. It measures the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. I honestly cannot emphasize this enough for your exams. Knowing if a product's demand is price elastic, meaning it's highly sensitive to price changes, or price inelastic, meaning it's relatively insensitive, is the absolute key to predicting how any pricing strategy will mathematically impact your total revenue.
Section 4. Case Study. Apple Vision Pro.
Let's step on to the AO3 analysis level of our escalator right now and put all this theory into practice. Imagine looking at an actual AQA mark scheme for a question asking how Apple setting a sky-high price for its products, like the Vision Pro, might affect their revenue.
This gives us an exclusive peek into exactly how examiners grade your analysis. The indicative content always focuses heavily on the relationship between price, sales volume, and the sheer strength of the brand. In fact, the marker's guidance explicitly states, a level 2 response will clearly link setting a high price to the impact on revenue in the context of this product. You can't just light Apple makes more money. That won't cut it. You have to build a rigorous, logical chain connecting their price skimming strategy, their specific brand context, and the mathematical outcome on revenue. So here is your first task. Apply the concepts we just discussed. Think deeply about how Apple's massive brand recognition and technological advantages make their demand price inelastic. How exactly does that inelasticity allow them to use price skimming without entirely destroying their sales volume? And what is the final bottom line impact on total revenue? Grab a pen and paper. I want you to write a focused, analytical paragraph answering the question. Remember to build that ironclad logical chain of reasoning we talked about. Please pause the video now and complete task 1. Welcome back. Let's keep climbing. Section 5, Competitive Markets and Shein. Let's walk through a totally different logical chain now to practice AO2 application, looking at a low-price, high-volume model. Step 1. A business like Shein enters a highly saturated fast fashion market. Step 2. Because they're targeting consumers with very low brand loyalty and high sensitivity to cost, demand is highly price elastic. Step 3. To survive and capture that market share, they utilize a strict discount pricing model, severely undercutting established rivals. Step 4. Because of that elastic PED, this incredibly low price triggers a massive spike in sales volume. They drive their total revenue through sheer, relentless scale rather than high profit margins on individual items. Now let's test this with a scenario for your second task. Imagine a market where competitors dictate a low-price, high-volume model. I want you to apply your AO2 skills here. Justify why a discount pricing method would be the correct strategic choice for a new fast fashion brand targeting highly price-sensitive consumers. Think about how discount pricing affects sales volume when PED is highly elastic. How does it help achieve the marketing objective of rapid market share growth? Please pause the video now and complete task 2.
Great job. Let's head straight to the summit.
Section 6, Strategy Evaluation.
We have officially arrived at the peak of the assessment escalator, AO4 evaluation. This is where you don't just explain a strategy. You have to weigh competing strategies against each other and form a highly justified conclusion. Let's compare two vastly different approaches right now. On one hand, dynamic pricing adjusts in real time, it's incredibly flexible, and it maximizes profit margins during demand peaks, but it requires some seriously sophisticated technology. On the other hand, cost-based pricing is simple and guarantees a set margin per unit, but its rigidity is a massive weakness because it entirely ignores market demand fluctuations. Here is your final, most complex task. Evaluate these two strategies specifically for a firm facing high levels of seasonal demand, like an airline or a global hotel chain. Is the flexibility of dynamic pricing worth the complexity and the potential customer frustration? Or is the safety and simplicity of cost-based pricing better? Argue both sides and, crucially, provide a final judgment that answers to what extent. Congratulate yourself on reaching the top of the assessment escalator today. You've successfully moved from basic definitions all the way to complex strategic evaluation. Please pause the video now and complete task 3. As you wrap up, I want you to remember this. Pricing isn't just a number on a tag. It's the ultimate reflection of a brand's power. Ask yourself, as artificial intelligence makes dynamic pricing algorithms smarter and faster than ever before, will traditional cost-based pricing soon become entirely extinct? Give that some thought. Until next time, keep analyzing.